Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in the real world? How's in the real world? In your world? How's things where you are? Everything here is great in the not real world. I don't know where that came from. Today is going to be the final video about my trip to Mexico, my thoughts on Mexico, my wedding, all that sort of stuff. Uh, I'm going to continue because Chris asked some good questions. But you can continue to ask questions. Feel free to please ask more questions, and we'll get to the next week. But I also got a question from a non-regular or non-consistent viewer on an older video that's made me reflect a little bit today, and I think that's going to be a really good Friday topic. So feel free to continue asking me questions, but I don't want to continue just piling on the vacationing stuff. But Chris said, okay, in your opinion, what is the best taco? Acceptable answers include adobada or al pastor. I'm not going to pick either of those, but if I had to pick between the two, I would take al pastor. I was really hoping to have an authentic street al pastor while I was there. I did not see any anywhere. I had some at the resort, but they were at best. I saw one al pastor stand, and the meat was there, but the burner wasn't on. It wasn't and there was nobody there, so I couldn't have an authentic street al pastor. For me, it's carnitas. I don't eat a lot of pork, but I absolutely love the way carnitas turn out. I don't know. I need to learn how to make it because whenever I make a pork roast, it's just dry and eh. So I probably need to do more marinating. For me, it's going to be little frijoles negro, carnitas, cebolla asado, pico de gallo, done. Maybe some roasted jalapenos, something like that. That's my absolute favorite. But to be completely honest, I don't eat a lot of tacos. I eat a lot of Mexican food, but when I was in the military, I made a lot of friends with a lot of Hispanics, and I learned. In Hispanics in the military, there's a lot of Mexicans, but there's also Chileans and Hondurans and just all the various versions of Latin America people in the military. So I learned a lot about all kinds of different cuisines. And of course there's Tex-Mex, but I learned to love just more traditional dishes like carnitas, like not carnitas tacos, but like a carnitas platter or, pollo asado with grilled onions or arroz con pollo or the huevos rancheros is absolutely one of my absolute favorite dishes. And I tend to eat things more like a Latin American would, just tear off pieces of tortilla and grab some food. Because I learned from them. And so the Tex-Mex stuff is not really my thing. I prefer those more traditional dishes. And I'm blessed. I think I mentioned this before. We had gas pipelines come through here in the 2010s and brought in just a lot of immigrants and mostly Mexican immigrants. And so we have authentic, I can go get authentic Mexican here that's just fantastic. And so I eat a lot of that. Okay. He also asked, now that Tulum is done, what other vacation places are on Chevy and M's future wish list? Do you dream of traveling, or is it something that you just tolerate from time to time? I have always dreamed of traveling. I've never been able to afford it. So the stuff that I've been doing in these past few years, the cruises, going to Myrtle Beach with my kids, going to Orlando, this trip, these are all dreams that I've always had and I've never been able to afford. But we can do it now, and there's lots more coming up. We are going back to Mexico in November. There's a cruise. We're doing the cruise again. The same cruise we did last year, we're doing again this year. It's the same. It's a punk rock cruise, so it's more about the music than it is the cruise. But last year we stopped in the Bahamas. This year we're stopping in Riviera Maya in Mexico. We're stopping in Belize, and we're stopping at a private island. So that is the immediate future is that. Em really wants to do Japan. She's been studying the Japanese language for quite some time, and she wants to go do a Japan tour. I'm 100% on board on that. Japan is definitely one of my wish list places. I want to do Europe, specifically Poland, Germany, Belgium, Germanic Europe. I want to see castles and that sort of stuff. I also wouldn't mind doing UK, doing especially Celtic region type stuff. I'd like to see some of that. It's definitely on my list. But we're also talking about kids, so it's going to be not something that we're able to do multiple. Like this year, it just happens that we had our wedding. We're also doing this cruise. We're not going to be able to afford that sort of extravagance a lot. So, I think that once kids start to happen, then the traveling will slow down. But I think we're both very much interested in seeing more of the world. There's still parts of the U.S. I haven't seen. I haven't seen the Grand Canyon. I'd love to go there. Yellowstone. I'd love to go there. I've never spent time in a redwood forest. I'd love to see redwood forests, see some of the parks out in California. I've only really ever spent time in San Diego, outside of an airport, that is. So, yeah, I definitely want to travel. I'd love to see Alaska. Pretty much anywhere. Let's go. Like I'm down. I would love to see the whole world if I could. Okay, so thank you for the questions this week. I really do appreciate the help with the content. And again, please continue asking questions because I can answer them next week. Tomorrow, I already have a topic, and I think it's going to be something that I'll reflect on for the rest of the day. So hopefully, I'll be somewhat prepared for that episode. But the last thing I want to talk about is my wedding band. So most of you said, actually, the only person who told me they saw that I wasn't wearing my wedding band was my mom. She was looking for it. So nobody saw me taking it off mid-episodes. If you go look, you'll see a lot of times I would start the episode with my hands up here, and I had the other workbench top. I'd put my hands behind it, and at some point during that, I would slip the ring off, put it in my pocket, and continue talking, and I didn't have my ring on. It's probably not super obvious because I picked a tungsten ring. I wanted something that was workshop safe, and tungsten kind of is, if only because A, it's not scratchable, and B, it's not crushable, meaning that I had a silver wedding band before, and actually, I don't know that it ever got crushed. I had my uncle's silver wedding band before I was married that I would wear, and it got crushed on me one time, and I had to take pliers. I mean, my finger was turning purple, and that was scary. Tungsten, being as hard and brittle as it is, will not crush. It'll just shatter. So it'll probably cut me in the process, but it won't pinch my finger. So I picked a tungsten wedding band here, and I absolutely love it. It's super duper heavy, very very heavy band. And I found a company called Manly Bands. So this ring came from Manly Bands. It's I forget what it's called, but it's supposed to be like a gearhead. Like the pattern on it is a gear pattern. It's not super shiny, which might be why you didn't see it much, because especially since the lighting is across my body, and this is a much more gray metal than it is a shiny metal. It's a fantastic ring, however, and it's a fantastic ring. I can definitely recommend Manly Bands. They sent not only this ring and a nice it was in a wooden case with a plastic top. They also sent a silicone band that you can put on, and like if you're doing workshop stuff, I could take this off, slip on a silicone band, and still have a wedding band that's electrically safe and also won't get crushed. So that was very nice of them. Here's the thing about Manly Bands, though. If you visit their site and you start going through the process this has been 4 months, all of my advertisements on all of my social media platforms are Manly Bands. I get 3 to 5 emails a day. I get literally all of my advertisements have been Manly Bands advertisements. They must be spending a ridiculous amount of money. They sent me videos, like when I almost ordered the ring, but then waited on a ring sizer. They will send you a free ring sizer kit. So that's pretty awesome. So I waited on that because I was going to order a 9. This is actually a 9.5. The 9 was a little bit too... I was afraid that when my hand swells in the summer and such, it wouldn't come off as easy. 9.5 might be a little bit too loose. It was actually too tight in Mexico. I didn't expect this, but I retained 7 pounds of water in Mexico. When I left for Mexico, I was 200, like 200.5. The day I got back, I was 207.8. So I gained 7 pounds of water weight. That was not food weight, that was water weight. Because I've already lost it all. I'm back to 200. So I was swollen. My feet were swollen. I did not expect that. And this wedding band was actually... Em had to really kind of shove. When we were doing this ceremony, I told her just go for it. Like, just push. It's going to hurt, but it'll be fine. So anyway, back to manly bands. I can absolutely recommend them. They have some really fantastic ring options. But boy, just be prepared, because I put it in my cart, didn't order it. I would get emails with like a video from the president saying, "Hey, why don't you order that ring?" You know, whatever. They have inundated my entire life with advertising, and it's a little bit scary, a little bit annoying, but mostly just like, dude, I already bought a ring off of you. How much more do you need to throw at me? Like, I already did it. Please stop advertising on all of my everythings. Anyway, I can still recommend them. I think that the product is fantastic, and it was super quick shipping, and they send you that ring kit free. You just ask for it, they send it to you, and then you can size your ring and order the right one for you. And I think I got it just within a couple of days. They offer engraving options and everything else. Obviously, this is not, I'm not getting paid to say any of this. It's just my personal opinion. Fantastic service. So, manly bands. Yeah. Any other questions? I will get to them next week. So don't be upset if I don't get to it tomorrow. I am going to answer this other question tomorrow. And hopefully it's an interesting topic to talk about. And we incite more interesting topics, because I really very much like when you let me know what you want to hear about. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is redact. It's a verb meaning to edit a comment, thought, or written document before going public with it. You may want to redact your opinion on your opponent's healthcare policies, his campaign manager warned him. Redact, R-E-D-A-C-T. I think the only time we hear about redaction is when the government blacks out like classified documents, right? Like, I really don't see it used anywhere else.